All right, guys, welcome to Glass Culture Podcast. We have a pretty huge news update kind of video today with a whole range of amazing topics and updates from the last week or so. Let's get straight into it. I'm Dan.
I'm Jay.
Cueing the intro.
Why do I feel like I'm about to be offended?
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
All right, guys, so we have a jam-packed episode. There's a few crazy things, a couple of kind of partial conspiracy theories as well that are always fun to talk about. And I kind of wanted to start with one thing. A few people will ask, because we're obviously Australian. Jay, would you say we're Australian?
Well, we're from Australia.
There we go. we're Australian.
But we're not the traditional Australians that the Americans make us out to be.
Yes.
Oi, gobber! Go throw your nut chimper on the Barbie.
Exactly. I actually have an Australian slang dictionary right here. And I don't know any of the words in this. So maybe I'm not Australian enough for everyone out at home. But I've had a few people say, why do we cover a lot of American topics? And I have my own kind of reasons for that. I didn't really kind of bombard you with this, Jay, beforehand, but I think we've kind of partially talked about this, but in my opinion,
America runs the world.
Exactly. Yeah, if something happens in America, it trickles down. If bad presidents or bad leaders in America, everyone follows the leadership pattern, and then we all fall down. So, yes, that's kind of one of the reasons why sometimes, American news is more compelling, because it literally has a trickle-down effect. And if we don't pay attention to America, we are behind the eight ball on what's going to happen in Australia. So that's kind of, yeah, exactly. So that's kind of my way of thinking. But I did want to start a little bit with the state of current Australian politics, because, Australia. And I had an interesting discussion with someone over the last week, Jay, that we would be better off right now if we still had Scott Morrison as president, prime minister, rather than Anthony Albanese. And I was kind of thinking he's kind of got a tiny bit of a point, but everything except for the COVID type situation. What would you say? Because both weren't popular.
No. So, yeah, I guess we would be better off, in a way. We probably would have had a bit more of a stronger leader in place. Probably wouldn't have let through a lot of this ease on the wokeness side of things start to trickle through all the events and companies and stuff like that. The whole Australia Day, boycotting, Australia Day stuff, all that kind of stuff that went on. But I mean, people were just so upset with the way that they got forced to be vaccinated against their will, and forced to stay home. So,
yeah, I think that really affected him. The pandemic type situation affected ScoMo. I'll give people at home some context, because people forget. You had ScoMo, who was more likely to trample a kid at a soccer event, compared to Albanese, who's more likely to fly his girlfriend around Australia, doing all kinds of things, all at the taxpayers' expense. And I think people are looking at that thinking, okay, we had this guy who was kind of a bit of a bonehead, say stupid things, and then you've got this guy that actually is flying around his girlfriend, wooing her, taking her to all events. So I think that's kind of one thing. He's not relatable in any way.
Look, we can't also just point the finger at that. I mean, anyone that's in charge, they're all using whatever tools that they've got at their discretion, to, fly people here, fly themselves there, buy this, buy that, get this information, make that move. They're all in it for themselves to make money and to use every bit of the benefits that they can. So, I mean, to point the finger directly on what he's doing, maybe he's taking it right to the max. Maybe, I'm not sure, but they all do it in some way.
Yeah, so it's a bit crazy, but yeah, so people are kind of like thinking that, you know, people didn't like ScoMo, they wanted Albo to come in, and now I think some people are having a real kind of problem with the way he's running things. But yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about Australian politics, I guess. You know, it's not as followable as American politics, in my opinion.
Definitely not as pumped up. Like,
Yeah, it's not as enticing.
yeah, like the elections that go on. It's pretty boring. You
Yeah.
either have, you know, Labor or Liberal, and they both pretty much just promise shit that don't do shit. So, you know, we need to kind of get away from that. And actually vote someone in that's actually prepared to make a change and follow through with that change, and hold them accountable. Basically, there needs to be definitely some rules or something in place that you can start holding these parties accountable for what they promise and what they actually go through with.
Well, that's what we're kind of saying. I'm not really seeing much action happening. You know, this.
And to be honest, it would also make better sense, like if we could actually leave a party in there for the whole 8 years. You know what I mean? Like if someone comes in, starts doing stuff for a couple of years, then kind of catch wind that they're not doing too good, then they might start scaling back or not get to finish the projects that they had in place. Then someone else gets voted in, and then that party then takes down whatever that they were building, and we kind of just go on this kind of like circle, like a hamster wheel, where we're just spinning at the same spot and we're not actually moving forward as a society.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, in the last like 15 years, you've had multiple parties kind of oust somebody halfway through their reign, so to speak, and then move to someone else. So that's kind of what we're seeing there. But yeah, so that's a bit of a Australian politics update. But I also wanted to move on, glide gleefully to Biden, because you said he's, and this is a clean segue as well, I reckon. You said he's out of the running of the presidency. Re-election.
Yeah.
So you know that's crazy, and I've got a theory on this. So for years we've been told that Trump was too old and crazy when he was in power, and then they ousted him. They got Biden in, and for about 3.5 years, it was kind of treated as if he was gold. He was being asked what flavor ice cream he wants. He's falling over his feet, stairs, his bike, he's falling over everything, and now all of a sudden the narrative is switched to him being this young, youthful leader to the leftist media, also, because it was the right that were calling him out for being too old, but now the left's calling him out for being too old as well. So they've immediately flipped the switch on him. Now he's too old to run for office, and now they're saying he should probably be removed. Or yeah, they're kind of treating like he's too old, he should be removed, and now he's off as a candidate. And I think I've got a theory about that. So yeah, what's your thoughts? You want to hear my theory first?
I mean, the dude is either an absolute puppet that has dementia and all that kind of stuff that's flying in now and getting worse, and they put him in power in the first place because they knew that they could actually get him to do whatever they want, or this is some kind of like psyop, like real like rabbit hole kind of front that America's putting forth on a way to politically push a further agenda, and kind of a way to kind of rally and unify America when they're kind of causing so much chaos in other regions and other parts of the globe around the world. And one thing about America, and I think us Aussies do it here too, is we can really rally behind our own people. Like, we can really rally behind Aussies. You know what I mean? Like, you can be from another country, but if you come here and you're bleed Aussie, then we'll get behind you. We'll rally, we'll support, we'll, anything. So I feel like that's what kind of maybe what America might be doing, is they've really kind of like rattled the cage, shook up the whole kind of world, got Biden to basically be the fall guy, basically, and let through all these kind of work things and get people like real like divided and segregated, and then they're going to put through as the final piece someone to rally behind and someone to get behind and industrialize and restart America.
So you reckon they're trying to
or
get
restart the West. Like
yeah. So like the right who already think he's too old and senile. Now the left they're trying to convert, thinking he's old and senile. Now they're one. Now they're on the same page, thinking this dude's too old to run the country. That's very similar to my theory. My theory goes a little bit more in depth than that. Because what I think is going to happen is they're going to do this. They're going to make Biden out to be this. Everyone hates Biden. He's too old. He's senile. He's this old man. But then they're also going to flip it. They're going to put a young-ish candidate in
against Trump,
and then they're going to use the same argument they've used to push people against Biden. They're going to use that same argument with Trump because he's only about 4 years younger than Biden. And mind you, it seems like he's 30 years younger, but he's only 4 years younger. So I think that's part of their tactics here. They're literally planning to do this, in my opinion. I think that's kind of something they could be working towards.
What's the bet that it's going to be a woman and a woman of color?
Whoa. Are they going for the trifecta?
I don't know if they're going for the trifecta, but I definitely it's going to be a woman, and it's most probably going to be
you told me
of race.
Of race.
Yeah.
What race? Cycling, triathlon. Come on, say it. No, you told me who you think your candidate is. Who's your candidate? I want to hear you say it.
Michelle Obama.
Big Mike.
Yeah.
Big Mike.
It only makes sense. I mean, they could go like fully obscure and go like Oprah Winfrey. I don't know where Sportsbet or anything has that placed, but that might be a cheeky punt.
That's. I mean, she's popular with people. Big Mike seems like a good option. But yes, so that's kind of what's going on there. So it's pretty crazy. And then you've got to think, Michelle Obama versus Donald Trump. What's going to happen there? I don't think Michelle Obama's really done any politics in her life besides just being the first lady. So I'm not really sure if that's going to be a positive or a negative. If anything, you'd think it'd be a positive. But yeah, that's what's happening in America. So pretty weird, crazy stuff. But moving on, we had some information on the Tucker Carlson video, the Putin interview last podcast. It was kind of getting a little bit of every time I tried uploading it, it would be kind of removed. So I gave up trying to upload that. But we have something else, something bigger potentially. Does Putin take out the opposition leader? So for those of you who don't know, Tucker Carlson went to Russia. He enjoyed himself by all accounts. He asked some pretty, low kind of difficulty questions because Tucker Carlson wanted to come home. He didn't want to ask a super difficult question and be locked up. I think any one of us can relate to that specific. But people obviously burning him for not asking these hard-hitting questions the entire time. But it was about a week or so after that Putin's main opposition leader was assassinated. And yeah, what a strange coincidence. And Jay, I believe you've got a couple of really fascinating theories that you were telling me over the week that I think we should go through. Or one theory, really.
It's just a theory. That's all it is.
Jay is not suicidal.
It just seems very coincidence, or too much of a coincidence that the timing of it all. That just when Tucker Carlson's interview is basically blowing up, going everywhere, everyone's starting to hear different sides and starting to think, maybe, just maybe, it's not all Putin's fault. Definitely what he's done and what he's doing probably isn't right. But maybe he's not the bad, evil guy the media is making him out to be.
Yeah, he's not crazy.
And then all of a sudden, this guy dies, the opposition leader in jail. Now, I really don't know exactly what he was doing in jail, but I'm guessing it was maybe somewhere along the lines of like maybe like a Julian Assange kind of thing, of like getting intel, a bit of a spy thing in Russia, trying to cohort and cause like a civil war in between in Russia. Did anything just happen? Because
Your light just went off.
Yeah, my whole screen just went off. That was creepy. Wow, I'm a bit rattled now.
Just as you start talking about this guy getting assassinated, your entire power just cuts off.
Yeah, how coincidental. Yeah, no, so but like, I feel like it was like a little mission that was planted by the other side, as into, you know, boom, take out this person. Now all of a sudden he looks like a bad person.
I
it's something easy to point the finger at. You know, he has a history of taking out opposition people or people that threaten his regime. So it was quite easy to be able to point the finger, or not even have to point the finger, and just everyone just immediately thinks that's Putin. I was just trying to come from a different perspective of, you know, hang on, can we get a little bit more facts, you know, first, and, you know, before we start pointing fingers. Yeah, it's weird that he's passed away in jail and stuff like that. But I mean, like, so was the Jeffrey Epstein thing, that, you know, camera footage goes missing or dark or whatever, you know. So like, until things get a bit more out there, I don't necessarily believe that was the case.
Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense, because when you think about it, you know, who has the most to gain from taking the focus off of the, you know, positive reception of Tucker Carlson's, you know, time in Russia? You know,
like, why would he do that at that point? Basically,
exactly
what I've got to say. Like, he could have done that at any time before then, or any time, you know, well after. It was just too much of a coincidence. Or maybe that was his point. Maybe he was like trying to come off as charming, and then next someone to show you that I'm not weak. You know, that I may have come across as weak, but I'm not weak. But I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like that was the play.
Yeah, it was just strange, very, very strange timing, and I like the idea with the theory. But yes, so moving on from that, because I don't want to get stuck on Russia for too many weeks in a row. I don't want to convert.
Actually, I did watch a great video today on the Russian economy and how they're doing in like their Woolworths, Coles, shopping centers and stuff like that. And it wasn't the Tucker Carlson one either, where he's like putting
everyone's saying,
and go, oh wow, they have trolleys and you can put $1 in.
Oh my god, you can buy bread.
Oh, that video just made me think, like, dude, like, you are so privileged wherever you are. Like,
the only thing I thought is Tucker Carlson has an assistant that goes to the shops, because everybody has trolleys, but you put a little $1 in, you get the $1 back. But he's treating like there's an incentive to return it.
Yeah.
No, so you don't take it back to your homeless shelter.
Exactly. A woman went to one of the places in Russia. It was apparently like a real low budget shopping center. I don't know what it's called. She said it, but you know, I'm not going to research it right now. And basically, the things that were there were like still cheap, man. Like, I mean, she was saying that they're expensive, but I mean, compared to here, like some of the prices on some of things like was like at least $3 at minimum difference. Some things were like $5-6 difference at least. So, wow. I mean, it must be already cheap over there, and then it's going up for them. But I mean, I guess I think she was saying like the average wage over there was like $1,000 a month.
Yeah, I know the average wage isn't very high.
When you compare it to how much they earn versus how much they're spending. But I think even if you would do the maths, even if you did like the average income here, it surely couldn't be any worse.
Let's have a quick look, hey? Let's have a quick look. I feel like Pat, you know, Valuetainment. He'd be like,
yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Julie,
I need you to look that up for me.
Look this up. Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know, we're talking about Valuetainment, the PBD podcast.
Yeah. We can never remember his name. I feel terrible.
Oh no, I just don't see him as a pat.
No, he doesn't look like a pat. No.
Yeah.
So the average wage for Russia equates to 14,000. Just to say 15,000 US. And the average wage in Australia, it doesn't really want to say. I mean, the average like sales wage is probably like 50K Australian, which is.
Are we talking about yearly? Because they were talking about monthly.
I'm talking about yearly, yeah. So yeah, the average yearly wage for Russia is about 15,000 US.
Jeez.
Which not very much. So that works out to be about 22,000 Australian. So I guess they have to keep their costs low for people to go and buy things because they literally don't earn as much.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you're not, the biggest superpower in the world, such as America. You don't have everything and you don't have the money, so people don't get paid as much. So they obviously have to counter that.
You know what was funny? So, like, how some of these sanctions, like Coca-Cola pulling out and all these, they literally they still have Coca-Cola, but it was from like Kazakhstan. So Coca-Cola goes to Kazakhstan and then Kazakhstan ships it to Russia. So I mean, that's like they're not,
Kazakhstan's making a profit on that.
Like they're telling you, you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, it's just a little bit more harder now that there are roundabouts here or there. Or another thing was labels were just literally just taking, or brands, sorry, were literally just rebranding their items. So like, I don't know if it was called Fanta, it's called like something else.
Yeah. These corporations want to appear one way, but they still need to make their bottom line. So they will find a way to make that work. So, I did find that very, very entertaining. Seeing people's reaction to that Tucker Carlson shopping video. His astonishment. He smelled the bread, and I swear he needed to have a sit down after that because he was like, oh yeah,
it's bread.
They're famous for their bread. I'm like, I don't know if Russia's famous for its bread, but whatever. Yes, I wanted to move on to something which we've spoken about. This is very, like, almost like just a theory that we have made up over the last week. A lot of the time we make theories in our own heads and we discuss them.
And then sometimes I discuss them too hard. And then I like expel all my energy out on you at work, and then
that's right. He blows his load on me at work, and this one here.
I like to be caught off guard about subjects. So I literally don't know what happens every single time we do a podcast. Like you kind of give me like a rundown of what we're going to talk about, and then I have to like think, okay, wow, what order we're doing this, and what am I going to say? Like it's just better that way, I think, Phil, because then
Jay is far better at the reaction of the information, and he just goes on the fly like a boss. But this next one we were talking about, this isn't the one that you think that I'm going to be jumping into, because I felt like you already blew all over.
I did.
This one here is LGBT flags themselves being used to lure kids. Now, hear me out on this. Anyone who's got kids knows that kids from a very early age are taught colors, and drawing, painting, coloring and things is very important to a child. And one of the first things a kid likes to do is draw and color in flags, not because it's a flag. They like rainbows. So what they do is they'll make rainbows because they want to use all their textures. They've got a whole set of 48 textures. They want to use all of those textures to make a nice rainbow. And we all know that kids like to do that. So my feeling is that when they initially came up with the LGBTQ blah, 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 blah flag, they wanted to implement the rainbow as a subliminal way to have kids already know this is safe, this is good, this is the way, because kids are going to see rainbows. And kids have rainbow t-shirts, kids have rainbow outfits, hats, unicorns with rainbows. I think it's a very subtle way to subliminally get kids indoctrinated at the earliest possible age without them even knowing it. And if you think I'm wrong, any good marketer will tell you to get them while they're young. That's how they got so many kids smoking when they were, 5 years old, 100 years ago. Jay, do you think there's some credence in my theory, my thoughts?
Oh, definitely. And it puts pressure on the adults as well. I mean, I know of someone that just went shopping the other day and they got something for their kid. They brought it home, gave it to their kid, and then they're like, hang on, is it an LGB item? Like, can I look at that design again? And then they're kind of looking at the design. They're like, you know what? I think it is. And then they were like, I don't want to support this. I want to take this back. And then the kid was attached to it already because it was pretty colors. So it's really hard. Like, you literally have to, as a parent, sit down and see what kind of item you're buying the kids and what meaning or little improv meaning an image might have on there or anything like that. So it's quite now a challenge for parents as well, because they just used to just see something rainbow and just think, oh yeah, the kids will love it. It's girly or it's boy. But yeah, now there's like marketing push, propaganda stuff push through that stuff. So,
but it gets deeper because not only, the rainbow now being associated with the flag and me feeling that this is a way to kind of teach kids from the earliest age, but I also think this might have something to do with a couple of years ago, they tried adding the MAP colors to the flag, which is, for those of you playing at home, minor attracted persons is what words they were trying to normalize these people as, but these obviously the worst people on the planet. They were trying to normalize them as minor attracted people, MAP. They added those colors to the flag, which tells me there is at least a crossover of groups that maybe, do the MAP thing. And I'm only saying that because of YouTube policies. Obviously, I want to say harsher language, but we'll get taken down. That crossover with the other communities. Not that I'm saying they're all bad. I'm just saying there would be a definite correlation there. And we all know there's a lot of grooming going on in these communities with younger people. So I think that has a lot of credence as well. What do you think about that?
I think that's where people of that community need to kind of have a look at their own morals. Like I know there's Gays Against Groomers on Twitter. That group on there, and they're really against all that kind of stuff. They're actually founded by lesbian, gay, and bi people, and I think there might be some trans people, and I'm not too sure, but they're for the wrong as well. Like they have rights and they have wrongs and they have boundaries. Yeah, and anything that crosses those boundaries, they are with us. I guess bigots, us straight people, like as they.
We've been branded as bigots, but yeah.
But so I really commend them for the work that they're doing. That that they can stand up and they can see, hang on, no, that's wrong. Because it makes me feel like, you know what, like, yeah, like let's like, yeah, I know you are not all bad. Like, we can sit down, we can talk, and there's certain lines where you shouldn't cross. And it's good that they can see that too. So,
yeah, and it's always relieving to know that there is part of any community that has a good conscience.
Because with any community, you're going to get those extremists, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's just a given with anything.
So that's my theory on the flag. Obviously, didn't want to spend too much time on it, but yes, that's my theory. I think it holds a lot of credence. Something to consider when you're looking at rainbow colored merchandise. It might not always be things that have the words pride written on them that are going to signal this to other people.
Couldn't they have just got a different flag altogether? Couldn't they just whack some other colors? Like, why'd they have to steal the rainbow? Because the rainbow is great, like, sprinkles.
Well, yeah. I mean, what like when you look at flags, like flags usually have like a specific kind of meaning. This is just colors chucked together. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. But yeah. Anyway, segueing on. I like this one. Now this is something that you've told me for months, and it's been in the back of my mind, and I want to say it. And instead of saying it, I'm going to have it flash on the screen whilst I say it. But your iPhone knows what your cum face looks like. Probably better than your partner does. Jay, we're talking about the iPhone basically recording you at all times. Obviously, Edward
Yeah.
Snowden came out and said, the government's monitoring you, but guess who else is? Apple.
Yeah, because
Take
you
it
know
away.
I don't like Apple. I don't like iPhones. I'm definitely against the iPhone. Yeah, and I tell you every day. And I'm Samsung, so I guess not better in some ways, but I just like that little bit of freedom. And I think I mentioned to you, like, I didn't like iPhones simply because they always used the break. They were brittle. Replacing bits and pieces on them was so goddamn expensive. So I got off them very early.
You get locked into their ecosystem. You kind of stuck.
Yeah. So, and look, the adjustment definitely was hard to begin with initially, just because iPhones are so simple. You can just be like a brainwashed ape, and still use it. No pun intended.
You know too much.
But yeah, and I brought that information to you the other day, and you're like, no. And then you had a look, and you're like, oh wow, it does. Literally, I think it's like every 30 seconds or something like that. It's taking.
Well, tell the viewer. I want the viewers to hear your story. Omit any names you don't want to put forward from your friends. But how did you find this out? Because I had no clue.
So I had a friend that was putting their child to sleep, and they were sitting on the chair next to the baby cot as it was kind of like self-soothing, and he was just scrolling on their phone, and probably about an hour later, got up and went out to the kitchen, and the partner was like, "Oh, why were you taking like selfies of yourself?" He's like, "Well, I wasn't." And they were like, "Oh, like, yeah, you were. I saw you take like 1,000 selfies of yourself." And he's like, "No, I wasn't." And then she brought up the baby camera monitor and went through, and he was like, "Oh my god, like, wow, like, what is that?" And they realized that they did like another little test, and it worked out that kind of camera frames per second can pick up the flash of. I've got troubles with my camera. Damn Russia. They were, basically that kind of camera could pick up the frames per second of the infrared camera that's flashing at you.
Yeah. So what are Apple doing though? They're just taking photos of all the users every 30 seconds. That seems suspicious to me.
It's apparently, I think, for like their AI systems to learn your algorithm and to learn what keeps you entertained and what keeps your basically eyes and on the screen. So just a way for them to, I guess, improve their advertising, improve their monetization.
It seems like it could be used against you, doesn't it?
It definitely can be used against you for sure. I mean, even if you're like someone of a political background, I mean, I could probably, if I worked in that space, I guess, see what you were looking at, see what pictures were, you were getting yourself off to.
What videos were you watching?
Yeah, exactly.
At a certain time. So next time you go to an Apple store, you go to a Genius, they might have access to what your face looks like in your most intimate moments by yourself. So think about that at home next time you pull up the old red and black or orange and black. And I wanted to talk about, this is something very interesting because King Charles has cancer. I think that's very strange. They've stopped printing money with his face on it, the currency. They like to remake the currency, which tells me that's a bit scary. But like, here's the thing. Do you think that these royals, I mean, anyone that's got that much money, they would be getting more checkups than the normal person? I think it's a bit strange that he's kind of, like, how quickly has it just come on? Now he's got cancer. Do you think he saw this happening and kind of predicted this was going to happen? Is there a plan in place? What do you think?
There is something to do with the royals dying on like certain years, and certain like kind of like different like this is like conspiracy theory. So there's that side of things, or you can just believe that. I guess it was part of the, he's like a alien person, and COVID has gotten into him, and that only affects them kind of people. That's another conspiracy, which that's definitely like very out there.
I love how casually you said that. Like, yeah, it could be like an alien. It could be an alien.
You hear some stuff, and you kind of
roll your eyes.
Yeah, you roll your eyes at it, and you kind of turn the other cheek. But it's never out of the equation. But
we've all seen Men in Black, so we all know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, there's an alien just sitting in my head, just pulling levers.
How cool was that little guy?
Yeah, that's one of the best bits of animation.
I do find it's weird that as he's announced that, Russia or Putin has announced that they are very, very close to curing cancer and have like a cancer vaccine. So, I mean, is that like are they linked?
Like, how close are Russia? Like, really? Do you trust Russia to make a vaccine to solve like cancer? To cure cancer, I should say.
I mean, they're very smart in some ways, yeah, for sure. I mean, some of the biggest technologies and stuff that have come out of Russia, were just basically like monetized by the West, I guess. Like it's like kept in, and then it kind of like sneaks out, and then the West kind of like takes it and runs with it and monetizes it. So maybe.
Okay. Well, I always just kind of think like that just sounds a bit weird to me. But I guess. I guess. But if he has cancer, then he'll have to.
Maybe the title. The other alternative is they're doing a Joe Biden. They basically wanted to put someone in power that can just wield the axe and just make all these outlandish cause up as much mess as possible. And pass through as many laws as possible, then basically either go senile or die off, and then put the new king in place for like a long, steady reign sort of thing.
Do you think this is the year? Because this is the year where the most amount of people are going to be voting in the most amount of countries, like a record year for people voting. Do you think this is the year where it's out with the old and in with the new?
In UK or in America?
In the world. And people like Putin can see it coming, so they're trying their darndest to stop it.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
See, I think they're trying. I think they're trying to force it, but it's hard to say.
There's a lot of old things though, and a lot of old ways and old things that you do still want. A lot of old morals, old ways of doing things. I mean, new and improved is great. But it's also, people get adapted and accustomed to, all of a sudden having the world at their fingertips in Google and being able to search anything, go anywhere, buy anything, get food delivered to them. And it becomes kind of like numb to people, and people just don't appreciate kind of what they've got, and how cheap, I guess, a lot of this stuff is. Like if this was like only for like the elite rich, back in the day, to have any kind of this, even what we're doing now, like this was like, you'd be a billionaire, like to be able to cam each other and have microphones and all, you know what I mean? Like it was,
well, I mean, podcasts are being killed by the rich and elite, but
stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's kind of, people are getting a bit adapted to it. So you got to, reel them back a little bit.
Because it does make sense. Now I did want to move on. This is something that we've been talking about. This is something that was been heavily talked about. We're talking about. Have you heard the phrase Colesworth?
No.
It's what people refer, basically the two megacorps of Australia, Coles and Woolworths. Have you seen any of the ABC interview?
Snippets of the Woolworths guy
Walking out. So
basically making a mess and then resigning and getting a $7 million payout.
it seems crazy that he's done such a good job, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean,
Of getting this payout.
it's a great payout, isn't it? That's
it's what a prick.
What was he on before? Like, that's what I'd like to know. If he got a $7 million payout, what was he on?
Let's have a look at it. His name's Brad Branducci.
And honestly, what a tosser! Seriously, like, the way he held himself in those interviews, like maybe off air and as a person, he might be all right, but like literally, the way you came across on your interviews and try to talk your mansplaining of not having Australian flags and stuff and Australian Day items in your store, very un-Australian of you, mate.
Let's have a quick quickly see if I can get this working.
Rod Sims, the former head of the ACCC, says that we have one of the most concentrated supermarkets in the world. Is he lying?
It's not true.
His words are that
Retired, by the way.
I don't think you would impugn his integrity and his understanding of competition law.
I'm just saying the world has got much more competitive.
He retired 18 months ago. He's not.
Okay, can we take that out? Is that okay? I mean, he is retired, but I shouldn't have said that, Angus. Are we going to leave it in there if we are?
Well, I mean, if we're on the record. You said it. I mean, let's move on. But yeah.
No, I think I'm done, guys. I do this with good intent. I don't do this with bad intent.
You're walking out, really?
No. Can we just talk through Brad for a second?
Let me just
have a minute.
So you heard that?
Yes, and he did come back to do a bit more of the interview, didn't he? Yeah.
He come back and he did more. Yes.
Now, here's where I stand with that. I'm going to go on the defensive and be on his side for this one.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that he should have had to step down just because he said that a bloke retired.
Do you think that's why he's stepping down?
No.
I think he hasn't had to deal with this much public scrutiny before, and I think he probably didn't like that, and I think that's a big part of it because I think it was his choice to step down as well.
Okay. So do you think that he's just had so much more media influence on him and he's kind of just like, I am not a good talker. I've got too much heat on me. I did not sign up for this. I'm out.
I think that's it. Yeah. You have too much heat on you.
He does.
You're now public enemy number one.
Yeah. He does strike me as the type of person that took a bit of criticism and kind of just boiled over and just said, no, I'm done.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you saw how easily he was able to just be like, "No, I'm done." He got up out of the chair straight away.
Look, you gotta take criticism. You gotta take the heat.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean it's part and parcel, isn't it? So, I mean, you and I get haters sometimes. It's part and parcel. You try and talk and reason, and sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you go 300, 400 comments long, and I end up showing you the pages of conversations that I'm having, and I'm like, what else? Where else do I go? What else do I say? You know what I mean? Like,
can you come back me up on this? I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm like, you pussy. But like, it's all just part of it. You've really got to be able to if you're going to put yourself out there, and definitely in his position, making such a stand and a statement, you have to expect backlash, and you have to expect how to handle that backlash as well.
Exactly.
And navigate around it. But maybe he thought that there was going to be no, that everyone was going to be like, yeah, you know what, yeah, that's right, you know. But I mean, like, read the tea leaves, bro. It was never going to be like that.
I especially like the fact that they did two things. They green screened themselves to look like they were in a Woolworths store. And he also went in full cosplay as a Woolworths employee.
Yeah.
And he probably would have walked in and with his little badge that he's only worn once in his life for interviews and sat down with his pristine shirt. And anyone who's walked into a Woolworths knows that, you know, the people that work there don't have the cleanest of shirts because they're constantly working and having stuff getting on them. But yeah, just go in full cosplay as a worker.
And also people know that they were only given one jumper, one set of pants, and one shirt, and that's what has to last them the whole week. So,
and then you've got
whether they wash it or not
yourself.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I just thought it was very interesting. His take. He kind of wants to come across as the every person when they were talking about price gouging. But speaking of price gouging, where do you shop?
Everywhere. Wherever it has the best specials. So
you're a catalog hunter, so to speak.
Yeah, catalog hunter, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I will go out of my way to go to one just because they've got such and such on sale, and then a couple of days later I'll go back to this other one because they've got that on sale. So I'm not a convenient shopper where I just go and just get everything from one spot. And then we're very lucky that we're situated in an area where there's Coles, Foodland, Aldi, Romeo's, everything everywhere. So I literally have the pick of the litter sort of thing. So
that's a savvy way to do it, and that's how people probably are going to have to play this as the financial situation in Australia gets worse and worse and worse, and the price gouging kind of continues. Obviously, for those of you playing at home, the word price gouging is used a lot, and like people don't know what it means. But basically, what's happening is Coles and Woolworths will look at each other's prices and see, okay, this is what that company's prices are. So they might put their price up to match their price because they're the two top dogs. So the kind of idea is they're actually kind of slowly driving the prices up because they're trying to meet each other's prices. So that when they have a special, it looks like a mega special. So that's kind of what it is. And a lot of people don't know exactly what it is. When you use the words gouge, you don't really know.
Also, the biggest tactic as well is making things smaller or with less there, but still charging the same.
Exactly. So the suppliers are also now having to, reduce the grams and the quantity of, chips or biscuits, whatever it is. And, same thing with a Big Mac nowadays. A Big Mac is, a quarter of the size less than
Definitely
it was.
Not big.
Yeah, exactly. I think Hungry Jacks have kind of maintained relatively big burgers no matter what. Macca's have just come smaller and smaller and smaller. So, that's kind of what's happening. Even a can of Pringles. The Pringles chips themselves are tiny. So that's kind of what's happening. And they're still putting the prices up with these smaller products in, smaller packaging. So, yeah, for those of you who don't know what it is, that's just a brief overview of what it is, because I do know there is some confusion there. It's kind of like price matching in the reverse way.
Yep.
Yeah. So that is Colesworth, a new term we should all get used to in the future.
Should we have an explosive segment right now? Explosive. Yeah, exactly. Have you heard about the AI robot on Google that it was like a ChatGPT? I think it was called Gemini. That it was actually being racist towards white people. So people would say, like, you do me an image of like a Viking, and they would put like a black Viking or something like that. They wouldn't put a white. Oh, can you give me the forefathers who founded America and they were all black and this and that? And it was being very racist towards white people. So that Google have actually come out and apologized and have actually, I don't know if they've pulled Gemini or if they're basically trying to fix the problem that they created for basically being too woke.
I absolutely love that. I love when people get AI, a literal tool developed to basically be as impartial as humanly possible.
And then humans find a way.
And they try to squeeze it as hard as they can. I've not used Gemini. I just feel like Google AI would be amongst the worst
restricted.
AIs to use.
Very restricted, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know how to use that.
But I did find out. I've actually got Gemini open in a separate tab here. It looks very clean, looks very smooth, and I can definitely see that a lot of people would use it as their default, especially when it becomes one of those, top 8 things in your little Google search bar, and you see it and you immediately use it without knowing any difference. So yes, I'll actually have a bit of a play around with that, because it does look interesting. But wow, I love it. That's crazy.
But yeah,
have you used Grok?
No, I don't use any of them.
You don't really use any of them. No. Well, I did find out the other day. I was watching Valuetainment, PBD. Patrick, good old Pat. NVIDIA. Yeah, Patty, our old mate Patty. NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the graphics card producer. And NVIDIA essentially hold most of the patents, I think, for all AI in the world. Which means no matter what AI you're getting, NVIDIA, the people who make like some of the best graphics cards for gamers and video editors and things like that, they're the people behind it, which I think is crazy. The AI chip from NVIDIA, valued at 2 TN. Is that trillion? That's 2 trillion. So we don't give financial advice here, obviously, but that's something people are saying to keep an eye on if you're the kind of person who researches things meticulously and makes your own informed decision. They seem like a useful company to follow at the very least, if you're looking for AI kind of related stuff. So yeah, I didn't know that until just the other day. I thought it was each company to their own, but no, it's NVIDIA who kind of hold the patent, I guess.
I would actually say that they're overvalued. Sorry.
Because it seems so easy to copy.
Yeah,
So I think it's easy to copy. I think someone could take this and copy it.
Yeah, I also think that obviously, like along with the ships and all that, and shipping and all that of products, you know what I'm trying to say. It was a lot harder to get the stuff through the routes and stuff like that. So I think that once everything kind of the supply chains, that's what I'm trying to look for, get back to normal, I think that it's going to be a deflation situation with computer chips. I think there'll be too many, and then they'll have to lower the price on them. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense too. I mean,
they're just trying to hold the price up because of all the AI and everyone was staying at home, so the computer, everyone was getting computers and stuff like that.
Everyone's playing with AI because they've got nothing better to do. Yeah. I mean, right now we're all riding an AI wave, and it's going to reach a certain point where they're like, we can't really do anything else with this besides just smoothen it and make it prettier. But ultimately, we're just riding a wave of, amazingness. It's going to plateau at some point, and that's when people get bored, people stop using it. And the more options there are, the more each individual company just aren't going to be able to turn a profit. So you're going to see people shut down because they just can't, show a profit.
Yeah, exactly. Once 100 million people are out of the jobs, then they'll slow down.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So many jobs are actually at stake because of the implication that AI can sometimes raise.
If you work with your hands and you're like a laborer or electrician, plumber, anything like that, you'll be sweet. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's people that basically go get a college degree or go do some kind of special degrees,
like a degree in business and just
sit in front of a computer all day basically.
Yeah.
This AI tool will be able to do it 10 times faster than you, 10 times longer than you, and 10 times cheaper wage than you.
Yeah. But you were saying something fascinating about Satoshi Nakamoto the other day. They were trying to feel him out.
Yeah, someone moved money into his wallet. So apparently by law, you have to declare that through the US system or something like that. So yeah, they're trying to basically make it so that now, basically, I think any kind of movement of that wallet would be full fraud and illegal and sued for unpaid taxes and all this kind of stuff. So,
because there's speculation that it's Elon Musk secretly,
Yeah, there's rumors that it's Elon. There's rumors that it's Sergey Nazarov, the founder of Chainlink. There is rumors that it's quite a lot of people. I don't think it would be one person. I think it would be a group of people. Like, you know, a lot of the cyberpunks. Like, I think it's like a little, like
Satoshi's like
yeah.
Like when people put on those like masks and they're like, we're part of this like anonymous group. Yeah.
Yeah, you chop off one head, another grows back. Hydra.
How disappointed would you be if it was like a 65-year-old man called Satoshi Nakamoto?
Well, there is
a dude. No, but how disappointed would you be if it was like, yeah, this is me. I'm just this boring dude.
But you know, they did actually go to Japan and find a Satoshi Nakamoto, and he's like, what? And they basically used his name.
Maybe he's just a really good actor.
Maybe
he's trained in the art of confusing people.
Perception.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if he's really Putin? No. Vladimir Putin.
If he's the founder of Bitcoin,
he's Satoshi Nakamoto. Dum.
What's your proof?
I have no proof, but I also have no proof that I'm not Satoshi Nakamoto. I've got a lot of proof that I'm not him. Just look at my bank account and you'll see I'm not him. But yeah, it would be just so disappointing if it was like really just like this little like old man, or maybe that guy that was interviewed or whatever, like you said. It'd be so disappointing if it's like that's actually him. It'd be like, oh, really?
I think it'd be so disappointing if it was actually someone bad. So like, you know, like something that can be used for like so much good and like prosperity around the world, and benefits. Like it would suck if it was actually like someone like really bad, really corrupt, really evil.
That does, yeah. I know what you mean. Or if it was like, oh man, who's the guy? The president of North Korea, Kim Jong Il.
Okay, random.
It was me. North Korea, with their lack of technology, he's secretly, It would
what they lack in technology, they make up for in nuclear arms.
Do they?
I'm pretty sure. But from the size of North Korea, they're actually like near on par with like the US and like Russia.
Or like size of country to like warhead ratio.
Yeah, they've got quite a lot. Yeah, for sure.
They're probably one of the craziest ones that I would be pretty cautious of.
Have you seen America at the moment? Do you know who's in charge of being able to push that button?
Do you know who has the button right now, Daniel? Do you know? It's just like,
you know, like
it's not working.
You know, that's the thing. Like it used to be, you know, years and years and years prior. You actually had intelligent, sophisticated kind of like you know, like Putin is like applauded on his mind persuasion, propaganda-y chess piece kind of, you know, and you can warrant that in his arsenal. You know what I mean? You know, America, like you could warrant like certain presidents having that, you know, at their disposal. Like, you know, are we going to do this? Are we going to do? You know, how can we, you know, threaten? You know, blah blah blah. And then, you know, as of late, I mean, you kind of, you know, people thought Trump was like a loose cannon with it. I mean, there is an interview which I love, which I find is hilarious. Like when he calls up that that I don't know if it was Iraq or Iran, and that person, and he goes, you know, like I know where you are, I know where you live, and I know where your house is, and we're going to blow it up, basically.
Yeah, do what I say, or you're all dead.
Unless you do what, you know, what, and you know, he's like, I'm sorry, okay, this and that, you know, so that was like a big form of threat, and now you've got someone in there that one day he's just going to press it, one day he's not, you know, like, you know, who's making the decisions? Because it probably wouldn't even be him that makes the decision; it'd be someone else. And how crazy is that someone else can make a decision?
Like he's just as shocked as we are when he reads the teleprompter, and he's like reading what his agenda is. He's just as shocked as we are. But you know, Donald Trump is the closest thing to when you watch like a movie from the 90s and they've got like an over eccentric president. Donald Trump is the closest thing to like a movie, you know, eccentric, energetic, ballsy president.
Yeah. He's definitely a negotiator. Definitely.
His excitement.
Yeah, definitely very good with words, and definitely can definitely rally the troops, and he would come to the table, I'm sure of it, and get his way, or like at least negotiate the best possible outcome.
I feel like if aliens landed in Washington, they land, the door comes down, you know, a whole bunch of like little like Martians walk down. I feel like Donald Trump would like, who do you think's better in that position? Biden or Trump? This is potentially showing your brave, strong face to a potential race that will invade.
I would like to put an accent on and give it a go of like interpret like what Biden would be like, but you know, I don't think we want to do that on air. And then I'd also do a Trump one too. But
this is the best country. We've got the best bombs.
That is terrible.
This is as good as I've got.
But yeah, I definitely think Trump would obviously.
Yeah, I feel I mean, picture Mars attacks when the aliens walk down, they immediately like shoot and like zap the president. He just disintegrates.
You know, actually, who I think would be good in that situation? RFK.
Oh, because he already has like an alien sounding voice.
He's like, you know, like that old man, like Smith Weston kind of.
I feel like RFK needs to start wearing a cowboy hat.
You know, where he's like stern, but you know, like he's like, all right, we want peace. Yeah. But you better not, you know, be here for nothing, because if you get up to mischief, I'm gonna have to blast you.
Yeah. He has to wear like a cowboy hat, and for some reason, like a vest. Like
he's got abs. He's jacked.
He actually works out. But yeah. No, I'm not angry. I'm just very disappointed. That's how I think of him.
It is very husky. Yeah,
he's incredibly husky. He is a husky. I didn't know if you knew that. He is actually a husky, the dog. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to our musings. Thank you for listening to our topics. We've spoken about so much. It's been a fun episode. It's always good having some fun banter at the end, instead of just talking about, you know, the state of the world, which is obviously sometimes pretty depressing. Wouldn't you say, Jay?
Definitely.
Yeah. We're gonna have this edited, clipped, and segmented, and we'll have some stuff coming out from the previous podcast, which I'm reconfiguring, and this one here. So thank you for everyone for tuning in. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jay.